Imagine this. You've been learning English for years, studying the grammar, memorizing vocabulary, even living in an English speaking country. But when someone asks you a simple question, your mind freezes. Your brain scrambles to translate from your native language, and by the time you're ready to answer, the conversation has already moved on. That was my reality. My name is Sophie Martinez, and I live in Toronto, Canada. I grew up in a bilingual home where we spoke mostly French, and even though I attended school in English, my thoughts were always in French first. Every time I had to speak English, I translated in my head, word by word, sentence by sentence. It was exhausting. I knew something had to change. If I wanted to truly feel fluent, I couldn't just speak English, I had to think in English. But how? What finally made my brain switch? Let me tell you my story. At first, I had no idea how to stop translating in my head. Speaking English felt like running with weights on my legs. I was always one step behind. But then I asked myself, why do native speakers sound so natural? It wasn't just because they knew the words, it was because their thoughts began in English. That's when I realized my environment was keeping me trapped in my old habits. Even though I lived in Toronto, my life was still mostly in French. My phone, set to French, my Netflix shows, dubbed in French. Even my grocery lists were written in French. Without even noticing, I was surrounding myself with my native language, reinforcing the habit of thinking in French first. So I made a bold decision. I would switch everything to English. I changed my phone settings, watched only English TV shows without subtitles, and listened to English podcasts every morning. It felt uncomfortable at first, like wearing shoes that didn't quite fit. But little by little, my brain started adjusting. Words that once felt foreign became familiar. Sentences formed faster. And for the first time, I caught myself thinking in English without even trying. But this was just the beginning. Even after surrounding myself with English, I still had one major problem. My thoughts were too complicated. Every time I tried to form a sentence, my brain started in French. I would think of a full sentence, try to translate it word by word, and it would come out slow, awkward, or just completely wrong. I needed to simplify my thinking. That's when I made another big change. Instead of translating long, complex sentences, I forced myself to think in simple English. For example, instead of thinking, Je me demande s'il va pleuvoir plus tard, parce que j'ai besoin d'aller au magasin, I would train my brain to think, I hope it doesn't rain later because I need to go to the store. Short, director, no translation needed. At first, it was difficult. My brain wanted to go back to its old ways, but I kept pushing. Every time I caught myself thinking in French, I stopped, took a deep breath, and rephrased it in basic English. And guess what? It worked. Slowly, my thoughts became clearer. I didn't need to translate anymore. English started feeling natural, but I wasn't done yet. I needed to take it one step further. Even though I was simplifying my thoughts in English, I needed something more. I had to make English my default language, even inside my own mind. That's when I discovered a powerful trick, describing everything around me in English. One day, I was sitting in a cafe, sipping my coffee, when I decided to try something new. Instead of letting my mind wander in French, I forced myself to think in English about everything I saw. The barista is making a cappuccino. The man at the next table is reading a book. The coffee smells amazing. It felt strange at first, but something interesting happened. I didn't need to translate. The words just appeared. I started doing this everywhere, on the bus, in class, even while walking down the street. At first, I had to concentrate, but after a few weeks, it became automatic. My brain no longer searched for words in French. It found the English words first. I had finally retrained my mind, but there was still one thing holding me back: fear. I was afraid of making mistakes, afraid of sounding wrong. And if I wanted to be truly fluent, I had to let that fear go. Even though I was thinking in English more often, there was still one thing holding me back: fear. The fear of making mistakes, of sounding awkward, of people laughing at me. Every time I spoke, a little voice in my head whispered, "What if you say the wrong word? What if your grammar is terrible? What if they don't understand you?" And because of that fear, I often stayed silent. But then, one day, I had a realization. Native speakers make mistakes too. I had overheard my English speaking friends say things like, "Me and my friend went to the store," or "She don't know." Grammatical mistakes, but nobody cared. They still understood each other. So why was I so afraid? Fluency isn't about perfection, it's about confidence. So I made a bold decision. I would speak without overthinking. If I made a mistake, I would keep going. If I didn't know a word, I would explain it another way. I stopped pausing in the middle of sentences, searching for the perfect phrase. I just spoke, and something incredible happened. The more I spoke, the more natural I sounded. Conversations became easier. People didn't care if I made mistakes. They cared about what I was saying. My confidence skyrocketed. Then, one day, it happened. I was in a group discussion in class, and before I even realized it, I answered a question without translating, without hesitating, without fear. The words just flowed. That was the moment I knew I had truly started thinking in English. But my journey wasn't over. There was still one final test that would push me further than ever before: a public presentation. The real test of my progress came when I faced my biggest fear: public speaking. Speaking in English during casual conversations was one thing, but standing in front of an entire class with all eyes on me, that was terrifying. I had always avoided speaking up in group discussions, afraid that my mistakes would be magnified in front of an audience. But this time, there was no escape. My professor announced that we would each be giving a presentation, and my turn was coming fast. I felt panic rising. What if I forgot my words? What if I froze? What if my accent made me sound strange? But then I remembered everything I had learned. I didn't need to be perfect. I just needed to be confident. So I prepared differently. Instead of writing my speech in French and translating it into English, I forced myself to write it directly in English. I practiced out loud, over and over, until the words felt natural. I recorded myself and listened back, adjusting my pronunciation and rhythm. I stood in front of the mirror, pretending I was already on stage. When the day finally arrived, my heart pounded as I walked to the front of the classroom. But then, something incredible happened. I started speaking, and the words just came. No overthinking, no translating, just pure, natural English. When I finished, there was a pause, then applause. I had done it. I had spoken English confidently in front of an audience. That was the moment I knew. I wasn't just learning English anymore, I was living it. But my journey didn't stop there. The next challenge was even greater: helping others who were struggling just like I had. Learning to think in English wasn't just about speaking a new language, it was about changing the way I saw myself. I went from hesitating, translating, and doubting every word to thinking, speaking, and expressing myself naturally. It didn't happen overnight, and it wasn't always easy, but every mistake, every awkward conversation, and every small win brought me closer to fluency. And here's the truth: you can do it too. Stop waiting for perfection. Start thinking in simple English. Surround yourself with the language. Describe what you see. Speak without fear. Trust the process. One day, just like me, you'll realize your brain has finally made the switch. If you found this journey inspiring, follow my channel for more tips, motivation, and real life strategies to improve your English. Your fluency is closer than you think. Let's reach it together.